Captain Jake Martinez stared out the viewport of the New Horizon as the ship approached the dead world below. The planet had once been green and blue like Earth, but now it looked like a giant rock covered in rust. No cities glowed in the darkness. No radio signals reached their sensors. Whatever lived here had been gone for a very long time. How long has it been dead? Jake asked his science officer. Dr. Lisa Carter checked her readings. At least 50,000 years, maybe more. The atmosphere still has oxygen, but barely enough to breathe. Whatever happened here, it happened fast. Jake nodded. This was their 5th dead world in 2 months. Earth had sent them out here to find new friends among the stars, but all they kept finding were empty planets and silent ruins. The galaxy seemed full of ghosts. "Captain, I'm picking up something big down there," said Peter Brooks from his station. The young man was their best at understanding alien languages, even though they had not found any living aliens to talk to. Yet, looks like a structure about 50 miles from the old capital city. "Take us down," Jake ordered. "Amy, send word back to Earth. Tell them we found another one." Amy Johnson, their communications officer, typed the message with quick fingers. She had been with Jake for 3 years now, and she knew the routine. Another dead world meant another mystery to solve. The New Horizon landed near the strange building. It looked like a giant crystal growing out of the ground, taller than the biggest trees on Earth. The surface was smooth and clear, but something glowed deep inside it. Jake suited up with his team. The air outside was thin but breathable. They walked across the dusty ground toward the crystal structure. Their boots left the first footprints this place had seen in thousands of years. "The door is here," Lisa called out. She ran her hands over the crystal wall until she found a section that felt different. When she pressed it, the crystal became soft like water, letting them walk through. Inside, the building was full of light that came from nowhere. The walls showed pictures that moved like videos, but the images were old and faded. Peter pulled out his translation device and started recording everything he could see. "These symbols," he said, his voice full of excitement. "They're similar to the ones we found on the last 3 worlds. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Like they all learned from the same teacher." Lisa was already at work with her tools, carefully taking samples and scanning everything. She had studied dead alien cities on 12 different worlds, and she was the best at figuring out how they lived and how they died. "Jake, you need to see this," she called from deeper in the building. They followed her voice to a large room where the walls were covered in more moving pictures. But these were different. These showed space with stars and planets, and something that looked like Earth's solar system. "Are those our planets?" Amy asked, pointing at the display. Peter worked frantically with his device. "I think so. Look, there's a yellow star with 9 planets. That blue one in the 3rd position, ... that has to be Earth." But the pictures showed more than just their solar system. They showed other star systems too, and in each one, planets that had once been alive were now dead and empty. The pattern was always the same. A world would be green and full of life, then suddenly it would go dark. "There," Lisa said, pointing to a section of the wall that glowed brighter than the rest. "That's some kind of data storage. Peter, can you read it?" Peter connected his device to the glowing section. Numbers and symbols flowed across his screen faster than he could follow. Then the translation program beeped, and words appeared in English. "We were the Vorthek," Peter read aloud. "We built cities among the stars and learned the secrets of space and time. We thought we were safe. We thought we were strong, but we were wrong." The message continued, and Peter's voice became quieter as he read. "Others came before us. The Zelani, the Morphic, the great builders of Kepler Prime, all of them left the same warning before they died. All of them tried to tell us, but we did not listen." "What warning?" Jake asked. Peter scrolled through more text. "Here it is. The sleepers of the third rock pretend to dream, but their eyes never close. When they wake, the galaxy weeps. Amy felt a chill run down her back. The third rock. That's Earth, isn't it? The third planet from the sun. Lisa was already pulling up star charts on her portable computer. Look at this. Every dead world we found is within 200 light years of Earth. That can't be a coincidence. Peter kept reading. The Vorthok were not the first to find this warning. They collected messages from 17 different alien races, all extinct, all saying the same thing about the third rock. 17 races? Jake felt sick. How many civilizations have died out here? Wait, there's more, Peter said. His hands were shaking as he read. The warnings go back millions of years. Race after race found the same message and tried to add their own warning to it. They all tried to tell anyone, about the danger from the third rock. The room suddenly felt very cold, even though their suits said the temperature had not changed. Lisa kept working, but her movements were quick and nervous. Amy checked their communication link to the ship 3 times in 5 minutes. The dates, Peter said. Look at the dates on these messages. Every major extinction event in this part of the galaxy happened during times when Earth appeared quiet to outside observers. When human civilization looked like it was sleeping or going backward, Jake thought about Earth's history. The Dark Ages. The times when human technology seemed to stop growing. The periods when Earth sent out no signals and built no great works. Those quiet times always ended with humanity coming back stronger than ever. Captain, Amy said, her voice tight with worry, I'm getting a message from the Zephyrian Empire. The Zephyrians were Earth's first alien friends. They had made contact 5 years ago and taught humans how to build better spaceships. They seemed nice enough, even if they looked like giant lizards with too many eyes. Put it through, Jake said that the message was short and urgent. Amy read it aloud. Cease all archaeological activities immediately. Return to human space. Some knowledge is too dangerous to learn. This is not a request. Lisa looked up from her work. They're scared. I can hear it in how they wrote this message. What could make our allies so afraid? Peter found more text in the alien database. The Vorthok's final entry. It says they sent scouts to the third rock to investigate. The scouts never came back. 3 months later, Vorthok civilization ended. No war, no disaster. They just stopped. Stopped how? Jake asked. Their cities went dark. Their people disappeared. Like they all just gave up and walked away from everything they had built. Amy was checking their position on the star charts. Captain, we're only 40 light years from Earth. If there's something dangerous about our home planet, we might already be too close. Jake made a decision. Pack everything up, we're leaving now. But we're taking all this data with us. Earth Command needs to see this. As they prepared to leave, Lisa made one final discovery. Hidden in the deepest part of the database was a video message. It showed a Vorthok alien, tall and thin with silver skin, speaking directly to the camera. Peter's device translated the words. If anyone finds this message, know that we tried to warn the galaxy. The third rock is not what it seems. The humans are not what they seem. They sleep, but they do not rest. They wait, but they are always watching. When the time comes, they will wake up, and when they do. The message cut off there. The Vorthok had run out of time. The crew of the New Horizon left the Crystal Building and returned to their ship. As they flew away from the dead world, Jake looked back one more time. Somewhere in those ruins was a warning about his own species, his own home. The question that scared him most was not what the warning meant. The question was whether they were already too late to do anything about it. Dr. Helen Rodriguez stood in the main conference room at Earth Defense Command, staring at the holographic display that showed Jake Martinez's discoveries. The alien warnings floated in the air like glowing ghosts, each one pointing to Earth. As the source of galactic terror, Admiral Scott Williams sat across from her, his face pale as he read through the translated messages. 17 extinct civilizations, all of them afraid of us. How is that possible, Helen? We've only been in space for 60 years. Helen touched the controls, and the display changed to show Earth's history. That's what bothers me most, Scott. Look at these dates. Every time an alien race went extinct, Earth was going through what we call a dark age. The timeline showed Earth's past in red and green sections. Green meant times when human civilization grew and built great things. Red meant times when humanity seemed to go backward, when technology was forgotten and cities fell into ruin. The fall of Rome lines up with the extinction of the Keeper race, Helen said, pointing to the display. The Dark Ages in Europe match when the Trelawnec Empire disappeared. Every major collapse in human history happened at the same time alien civilizations died out. Scott leaned forward. But that's impossible. During those dark ages, humans could barely travel between continents, let alone between stars. Helen's assistant, Dr. Ben Clark, entered the room carrying a thick folder. Behind him walked Dr. Marie Watson, the government's top historian. Both looked like they had not slept in days. Admiral Dr. Rodriguez, Ben said. We found something in the old archives, something that changes everything. Marie opened the folder and spread papers across the table. These documents were buried so deep in government storage that most people forgot they existed. Some are thousands of years old, written in languages that died out before Christ was born. Scott picked up one of the papers. The writing was strange, but there was an English translation attached. What am I looking at? Instructions, Marie said. Orders that were passed down through secret groups in every major government throughout history. Chinese emperors had them. Roman leaders had them. Egyptian pharaohs had them. They all contained the same basic message. Helen read the translation aloud. Maintain the facade. Let them think we slumber. The harvest is not yet ready. She looked up at the others. What harvest? What facade? Ben pulled out more documents. It gets worse. These papers contain detailed star charts showing the locations of alien civilizations. Charts that are thousands of years old, but they show the exact positions where Jake's team found dead worlds. The room went quiet. Scott felt his hands start to shake. You're telling me that ancient humans somehow knew where alien civilizations were located? Not just knew, Marie said. These documents show that human agents were sent to observe these civilizations. They watched them grow. They studied them. They waited. Helen brought up a new display showing human colony ships. Scott, look at our current expansion into space. Every human colony we've established in the past 20 years has been built on or near a dead alien world. Scott stared at the pattern. It was obvious once he saw it. Human explorers always seemed to find the best planets, the ones with perfect atmospheres and useful minerals. But those planets had all been someone else's home first. The colony ships, Scott said slowly. Are you telling me they're not exploring? They're following a plan? Before anyone could answer, the door opened and a tall figure walked in. It was HFY, the Zephyrian ambassador to Earth. His lizard-like skin was darker than usual, which Helen knew meant he was afraid. Admiral Williams, HFY said in his careful English, we need to talk. My government has sent me with information that your species must hear. Scott gestured to a chair, but HFY remained standing. Ambassador, we were just discussing some troubling discoveries about Earth's history. Yes, HFY said. The dead worlds. The warnings, we know about them. My people have known for a very long time. Helen felt her heart rate increase. How long have you known? HFY's multiple eyes blinked in sequence, which was how his species showed stress. We have been watching your species for over 300 of your years. Long before we made official contact. We have been afraid of you for just as long. Afraid of us? Ben asked. But we're allies. We trade with you. We share technology. You share some technology, Zexai corrected. But my scientists have studied your expansion patterns. Human growth appears slow and peaceful to most observers. But we have run mathematical models. Your expansion rate is not random. It is precise, calculated, like you are following a very old plan. Marie spread out more of the ancient documents. Zexai, can your people read any of these languages? The alien ambassador moved closer to the table. His eyes focused on the papers, and his skin turned an even darker shade. Where did you find these? In human government archives, Scott said. Some are thousands of years old. Zexai picked up one of the documents with careful claws. This language, it is not from Earth. These symbols are similar to writing we have found on dead worlds, old dead worlds. Worlds that went extinct long before your species supposedly developed space travel. The room temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. Helen watched as Zexai continued examining the papers. This document, the alien said, holding up a page covered in strange symbols. It contains star charts showing the location of my home world. But it was written before humans had telescopes powerful enough to see our star system. Scott stood up so fast his chair fell over. That's impossible, is it? Zexai asked. Admiral, every human colony ship that has launched has requested permission to visit systems that contained advanced alien civilizations. Civilizations that went extinct. Just before your ships arrived. Ben was frantically checking his computer. The timing. Oh God, the timing is perfect. The Corvanic Empire fell 52 years ago. Humans arrived at their home world 50 years ago. The Deltarian civilization disappeared 73 years ago. Human colonists reached their system 70 years ago. Helen felt sick. It's like we're following them. Like we know exactly when and where to go. Zexai set down the document. Dr. Rodriguez, there is something else. Something my government discovered about your species that made us very afraid to contact you. What? Scott asked. Every human colony ship carries 2 crews, Zexai said. The official crew that everyone knows about, and a second crew that boards the ship in secret. These secret crew members have access to parts of the ship that the official crew does not even know exist. Marie looked through more papers. There are references here to something called the Colonial Operations Division. But I've never heard of any government department with that name. Scott activated his communication system. Get me General Alex Thompson. Tell him it's code Black Priority. While they waited, Zexai continued. Admiral, my people have detected signals coming from human colony worlds. Signals that are not sent to Earth. They are sent to deep space, to coordinates that we cannot identify. What kind of signals? Helen asked. Reports, Zexai said. Detailed reports about the resources found on each dead world. Information about alien technology left behind. Data about the previous civilizations that lived there. General Thompson entered the room 5 minutes later. He was a big man with gray hair and scars on his hands from old battles. When he saw Zexai, his expression changed. Ambassador, Thompson said carefully, I wasn't expecting to see you here. General, Scott said, we need to know about Colonial Operations Division. Thompson's face went completely blank. I'm not familiar with that term, Admiral. Ben held up one of the ancient documents. It's mentioned in papers that are 3,000 years old, General, along with your name. Thompson looked at the document, and for just a moment, his carefully controlled expression cracked. Where did you get that? From government archives, Helen said. Archives that someone tried very hard to hide. Thompson walked to the window and stared out at the city. Some secrets exist for good reasons. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share. Zexai's skin had turned almost black. General Thompson, my government believes that humanity is not what it appears to be. We believe your species has been concealing its true nature for a very long time. Thompson turned around. His eyes were cold and hard. And what do you believe our true nature is, Ambassador? We believe, HFY said slowly, that humans are not originally from Earth. We believe you are something much older and much more dangerous than you pretend to be. The general smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. Ambassador, some doors should never be opened. Some questions should never be asked. Helen stood up. General, 17 alien civilizations left warnings about Earth before they died. We need to know why. Thompson looked around the room at each of them. Dr. Rodriguez, are you sure you want to know the truth? Because once you learn it, you can never go back to being innocent. Scott nodded. Tell us. General Thompson sat down and folded his hands. Very well, but remember, you asked for this. The truth is that those alien civilizations were right to be afraid. They were right to leave warnings. And they were right to try to hide from us. He paused and looked directly at HFY. The only thing they got wrong was thinking that we were asleep. Dr. Lisa Carter stood in her laboratory aboard the New Horizon, staring at the blood sample under her microscope. What she saw there made her hands shake as she adjusted the focus. The sample belonged to Jake Martinez, taken during their routine health check after returning from the dead world. This can't be right, she whispered to herself. Jake's DNA looked normal at first glance, but when she used special filters to examine the deeper structures, she found something impossible. Hidden within the normal human genetic code were sequences that should not exist. They were inactive, like sleeping programs waiting for the right signal to turn on. She ran the same test on her own blood, then on Peter's and Amy's. Every human sample showed the same thing. Extra DNA sequences that were completely dormant, tucked away in parts of the genetic code that scientists had always called junk. But these sequences were not junk. They were too organized, too complex. They looked like instructions written in a language that was almost familiar. Lisa connected her computer to the ship's main database and pulled up the alien files they had collected. When she compared the dormant human DNA to the alien genetic samples, her heart stopped. The sleeping sequences in human DNA were not human at all. They matched genetic patterns from a dozen different alien species that had been extinct for millions of years. Computer, run a deep scan analysis on human genetic structure, she said. Compare to all known alien DNA patterns in our database. The computer worked for 20 minutes before displaying the results. What Lisa saw made her sit down hard in her chair. Humans were not one species. They were a combination of dozens of alien species, all merged together into a single genetic structure. The dormant sequences contained memories, knowledge, and abilities from civilizations that had died out long before Earth's sun was born. Lisa ran to find Jake. She found him in the captain's quarters, reading reports from Earth about General Thompson's revelations. Jake, you need to see this, she said, showing him her findings on a portable screen. Our DNA, it's not entirely human. Jake looked at the genetic charts. I can't read this, Lisa. What are you showing me? Every person on this ship carries genetic material from extinct alien species, not just a little bit. About 40% of our DNA comes from non-Earth sources. Jake felt dizzy. That's impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil records. Going back millions of years. Do we? Lisa asked. Jake, I've been thinking about what we found on that dead world. What if the warnings were not about humans destroying aliens? What if they were about humans absorbing them? Before Jake could answer, Amy's voice came over the ship's communication system. Captain, we're receiving an urgent message from Earth. General Thompson wants to speak with you immediately. They went to the bridge, where Amy had already set up the long-range communication link. General Thompson's face appeared on the main screen, but he looked different, older somehow, and very tired. "Captain Martinez," Thompson said. "Dr. Carter, I understand you've been doing genetic research on your crew." Lisa felt a chill. "How do you know that, General?" "Because we've been monitoring your ship's computer system since you left Earth. We know about your DNA discoveries. We know what you found in those alien ruins. And we know that you're starting to ask the right questions." Jake stood up. "General, what the hell is going on? What are we?" Thompson was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very soft. "You are the children of the Terran Collective, Captain. And it's time you learned what that means." The screen changed to show historical records that Jake had never seen before. Images of Earth from thousands of years ago, but not the Earth from human history books. This Earth had cities that floated in the sky and machines that could change. The weather. 75,000 years ago, Thompson said, Earth was home to the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever seen. The Terran Collective ruled over half the known star systems. They were explorers, scientists, and warriors beyond anything that exists today. Lisa watched the images with growing horror. The floating cities looked beautiful, but something about them felt wrong. Cold, predatory. "The Collective did not destroy other species," Thompson continued. "They were much more efficient than that. They absorbed them. When they found a useful alien civilization, they would study it completely. They would learn everything about that species' biology, technology, and culture. Then what?" Jake asked, though he was afraid of the answer. "Then they would take the best parts and add them to themselves. The aliens would be allowed to live, but they would slowly lose their independence. Over generations, they would become part of the Collective. Their children would be born with collective DNA mixed with their own." Amy looked sick. "They turned other species into humans?" "Not exactly," Thompson said. "They turned themselves into a combination of every useful species they encountered. By the end, the Terran Collective contained genetic material from over 200 different alien races." The screen showed more images. Jake saw creatures that looked almost human, but with extra arms or different colored skin or abilities that no Earth animal possessed. All of them carried the same cold expression in their eyes. "What happened to them?" Lisa asked. "If they were so powerful, where did they go?" Thompson's expression grew even more serious. They realized that their expansion was accelerating out of control. Every time they absorbed a new species, they became more powerful, which made them find and absorb other species faster. They were consuming the galaxy. So they stopped? "They tried to stop," Thompson said. "A group of collective members broke away from the main civilization. They called themselves the True Terrans. They believed the Collective had become a monster that would eventually consume every living thing in the universe." Peter, who had been quiet during the conversation, finally spoke up. "The True Terrans, they're the ones who came to Earth?" "They came to Earth and used collective technology to change themselves," Thompson confirmed. "They removed most of their advanced abilities and locked away the genetic memories of the absorbed species. They became simpler, more human." Lisa looked at her genetic data again. "But they didn't remove everything. The dormant sequences, they're still there." "Yes," Thompson said. "The True Terrans could not completely erase their nature without dying, so they created a cycle. For most of the time, their descendants would live as normal humans with the collective genes sleeping. But every 75,000 years, when specific conditions were met, the dormant genes would activate." Jake felt his stomach drop. The awakening. "That's what's happening now, isn't it?" Thompson nodded. "The cycle is beginning again. Humans across the galaxy are starting to experience flashes of their true nature. The dormant memories are surfacing. The advanced abilities are returning. Is that why we found those dead worlds so easily?" Amy asked. Because part of us remembered being there before. The collective had outposts and research stations throughout this region of space, Thompson said. When the awakening begins, humans are unconsciously drawn to those locations. Your archaeological mission was not random, Captain. You were following genetic memories that are millions of years old. Lisa stood up suddenly. The other humans in the colonies. Are they experiencing this too? Some are, Thompson said. Colony Administrator Ryan Foster on Proxima Centauri reported that he suddenly understood alien technology that should have been impossible for him to operate. Trade negotiator Kelly Adams discovered she could predict alien behavior patterns with perfect accuracy. Jake thought about the warnings they had found. The extinct aliens, they knew what we really were. They knew what the collective was, Thompson said. But they thought the cycle had been permanently broken. When humans appeared to be a simple, peaceful species, the aliens believed we were something new. They didn't realize we were just sleeping. And now we're waking up, Peter said quietly. Thompson's image flickered as the communication link started to weaken. Captain, you need to return to Earth immediately. The Zephyrians and their allies are preparing for war. They've decided that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to awaken. War? Jake asked. But we haven't done anything wrong, haven't we? Thompson asked. Captain, in the past 6 months, human colonies have been established on 17 different worlds. All of them were the former homes of extinct alien civilizations. All of them contain technology and resources that will make humanity more powerful. Lisa realized the horrible truth. We're doing it again. Even without meaning to, we're following the same pattern. We're harvesting the remains of dead civilizations. The awakening cannot be stopped by normal means, Thompson said. But there might be another way. The true Terrans left instructions, hidden in the oldest human settlements. Instructions for breaking the cycle permanently. The communication link started to break up. Thompson's voice became hard to understand. Captain, you have a choice to make. You can embrace what you're becoming and reclaim your place as rulers of the galaxy. Or you can try to break free from your nature and become something genuinely new. What happens if we choose wrong? Jake asked. Thompson's final words came through clearly before the link died. Ryan Foster stood in the control room of the Proxima Centauri colony, staring at the alien machine that should have been impossible to understand. 3 days ago, he had been just another human administrator trying to keep a small colony running. Today, he could operate technology that had been built by a race that died out before humans left. Earth, the machine hummed quietly as Ryan's hands moved over controls he had never seen before. Somehow he knew exactly which buttons to press and which levers to pull. The knowledge came from somewhere deep in his mind, like remembering a song from childhood. Ryan, how are you doing that? Asked Dr. Susan Harris, the colony's chief scientist. She had been trying to figure out the alien device for 2 years without success. I don't know, Ryan said honestly. I just know. It's like the information was always there, waiting for me to find it. The machine responded to his touch, and screens lit up showing star charts and navigation data. Ryan could read the alien symbols as easily as English. The charts showed locations of resources throughout the galaxy, marked with symbols that meant different things. Some meant useful minerals. Others meant advanced technology. A few were marked with a symbol that made Ryan feel hungry in a way he did not understand. On the other side of the galaxy, Kelly Adams sat across from a group of Zephyrian trade representatives, knowing exactly what they were going to say before they said it. The aliens thought they were being clever by speaking in their own language during the negotiations, but Kelly understood every word. She watched their body language and saw the fear they were trying to hide. The way Zexmar's tail twitched when he lied. How Vex's scales changed color when she was nervous. Kelly had never studied Zephyrian biology, but somehow she knew all their tells. "The humans are becoming dangerous," Zexmar was saying in Zephyrian to his companion. "Our scientists believe their awakening is happening faster than predicted." Kelly kept her expression neutral, but inside she felt a cold satisfaction. These aliens thought they could spy on humanity while pretending to be friends. They had no idea how much humans really understood. "We need to convince the other species to act now," Vextha replied, "before the humans remember what they truly are." Kelly smiled and spoke in perfect Zephyrian. "I'm afraid it's too late for that." The aliens jumped in their seats. Zexmar's skin turned the pale color that meant panic. "You understand our language?" "I understand many things," Kelly said, switching back to English, "including the fact that your government has been planning to attack human colonies for the past 6 months. Back on Earth, Ambassador Lin Zhao faced the most difficult diplomatic crisis in human history. The main conference room at the United Nations was filled with representatives from 12 different alien species, all demanding answers about humanity's true nature. "Ambassador Zhao," said Kretak of the Morphean Republic, his 4 arms gesturing angrily, "our deep space monitors have detected unusual energy signatures coming from human colonies. Signatures that match technology from extinct civilizations." Lin kept her voice calm. "I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for any readings your sensors may have detected." "Reasonable?" Velinara of the Cosmic Alliance stood up, her crystalline body glowing with anger. "Our archaeologists found human DNA samples on dead worlds that predate your species' supposed evolution by millions of years." The room erupted in angry voices as each alien representative shared their evidence. Lin listened to accusations that grew more serious by the minute. The aliens had been investigating humanity in secret, and they had found far too much. "Silence!" roared Ambassador Thokrin of the Stellar Federation. His massive frame shook with rage. "We have given humans the benefit of doubt for too long. Our analysis shows that every human expansion follows the same pattern used by the Terran Collective millions of years ago." Lin felt something cold and sharp awaken in her mind. For just a moment, she saw the room through different eyes. These aliens were not allies making legitimate complaints. They were prey animals, squeaking and chittering because they sensed a predator nearby. The feeling passed quickly, but it left Lin shaken. "What exactly are you proposing?" Kretak placed a data pad on the table. "Humanity has 48 hours to submit to galactic oversight. All human colonies will be monitored by alien peacekeeping forces. All human space travel will require prior approval from this council. And if we refuse?" Lin asked. Velinara's glow became brighter. "Then we will take action to protect the galaxy from what humanity is becoming." Dr. Helen Rodriguez stood in her laboratory on Earth, looking at data that made her question everything she thought she knew about her own species. Her team had been working around the clock since General Thompson's revelation, trying to understand how the awakening process worked. "The genetic triggers are activating faster than the historical pattern suggests," Dr. Marie Watson reported. "Our models show that instead of taking decades, the awakening is happening in months." Helen studied the brain scans of humans who had experienced awakening episodes. "What's causing the acceleration?" "Contact with alien technology," Ben Clark said from his workstation. "Every human who has handled alien devices shows increased activation in the dormant genetic sequences. It's like the technology is designed to wake up our sleeping DNA." Helen thought about the implications. The aliens don't realize it, but by sharing their technology with us, they've been speeding up our awakening. Dr. Watson pulled up historical records. "There's something else, Helen. I found references to the awakening process in those ancient documents. According to the true Terrans, the awakening can be stopped, but only through a process they call genetic reformation." "What does that involve?" permanently removing the dormant collective sequences from human DNA. It would end the cycle, but it would also take away the advanced abilities that come with awakening. Ben looked up from his computer. There's a problem with that plan. The reformation process requires the willing participation of every human in the galaxy. If even a small percentage refuse, the awakening continues. Helen felt her heart sink. How many humans are there now? 15 billion spread across dozens of worlds. 15 billion people who would have to choose between becoming superhuman predators or staying normal humans forever. Marie said quietly. Colonel Tony Mitchell entered the laboratory without knocking. He was head of military intelligence and one of the few people who knew the full truth about humanity's nature. His expression was grim. Dr. Rodriguez, we have a problem. 3 more human colonies have reported awakening episodes. But these are different from the others. Different how? Helen asked. The colonists aren't just understanding alien technology anymore. They're improving it. Colony 7 just sent us blueprints for weapons that are more advanced than anything in our current arsenal. Ben checked his data. That's impossible. Those colonists are farmers and miners, not weapons engineers. Not anymore, Tony said. The dormant memories aren't just giving them knowledge. They're giving them the personalities and skills of absorbed alien species. Some of these people are becoming entirely different individuals. Helen realized the horrible truth. The awakening isn't just making humans more powerful. It's turning them back into the Terran collective. Which is why we need to make a decision quickly, Tony said. I've been in contact with underground resistance groups on several human worlds, people who want to fight the awakening. But I've also been hearing from others who want to embrace it. What do the ones who want to embrace it say? Tony's expression darkened. They say that humanity has been weak for too long. That it's time to reclaim our rightful place as rulers of the galaxy. They're calling themselves the New Collective. Helen sat down heavily. How many? About 30% of the human population. So far, but the numbers are growing every day as more people experience awakening episodes. Marie looked at the genetic data on her screen. Helen, I found something else in the true Terran records. They didn't just try to break the cycle once. They tried 3 times over the course of millions of years. What happened the other times? The reformation process failed. Each time, enough humans chose to keep their power that the awakening continued. And each time, the Terran collective became more aggressive and more destructive than before. Tony activated his communication device. Dr. Rodriguez, I'm getting reports that the alien coalition has moved their fleets to attack positions around human space. They're not waiting for the 48-hour deadline. Helen looked around the laboratory at her team. Each of them carried the genetic potential to become something far beyond human. Each of them would soon have to choose between power and peace. How long do we have? She asked. Unknown, Tony said. But our long-range sensors are detecting massive energy buildups in the alien fleet ships. Whatever they're planning, it's going to be big. Helen thought about Jake Martinez and his crew, still out there in space, carrying the evidence that had started this whole crisis. She thought about the billions of humans across the galaxy who had no idea they were about to face the most important choice in the history of their species. Marie, how long would the reformation process take if we could get everyone to agree to it? According to the true Terran records, about 72 hours. Captain Jake Martinez stood on the bridge of the New Horizon as they approached the galactic core. Around them, space itself seemed angry. Radiation storms painted the darkness in deadly colors, and gravity wells pulled at their ship like invisible hands trying to tear it apart. Captain, the alien fleets have reached the outer edge of human space, Amy reported from her station. They're not attacking yet, but they're in position. Jake nodded, his eyes fixed on the ancient structure ahead. Of them, The ruins of the original Terran collective homeworld floated in the cosmic storm like a broken crown. Parts of it were still intact after millions of years, protected by technology that humanity had forgotten how to build. How long until the Reformation deadline? Jake asked. Dr. Lisa Carter checked her chronometer. 18 hours. If we don't get the catalyst back to Earth in time, the choice will be made for us. Jake felt the weight of 15 billion lives pressing down on him. Across the galaxy, every human was experiencing the awakening now. Some embraced it, feeling the power of ancient memories flowing through their minds. Others fought against it, terrified of what they might become. Peter Brooks had been monitoring human communications during their journey. "Captain, the split is getting worse. About half of all humans want to complete the awakening. They're calling themselves the true heirs now. What about the other half?" Jake asked. "They're organizing resistance groups. They want to use the catalyst to break the cycle permanently." Peter paused. "But there's fighting on some worlds. Humans are turning against each other." The New Horizon docked with the ancient structure. Jake suited up with his team, knowing this might be the last mission they ever flew together. The awakening was affecting all of them now. Jake could feel alien memories stirring in his mind, whispering about power and conquest. Inside the ruins, they found corridors that stretched for miles in every direction. The walls were covered in writing from dozens of different alien languages, all of them warning about the Terran collective. But mixed in with the warnings were other messages, written in a language that looked almost human. "These are from the true Terrans," Lisa said, running her scanner over the symbols. "They left instructions for anyone who came looking for the catalyst." Peter translated as they walked. "The catalyst is in the central core, but reaching it requires passing through the memory chambers. Anyone who enters will experience the full history of the Terran collective." "What does that mean?" Amy asked. "It means we'll see everything," Lisa said quietly. "Every species they absorbed, every world they conquered, every choice that led to their becoming monsters." They reached the first memory chamber, and Jake stepped inside without hesitation. Immediately, his mind was flooded with images from millions of years ago. He saw the early Terrans, exploring space with wonder and hope. They had been curious and friendly, eager to learn from other species. But then he saw the first absorption. A dying alien race had begged the Terrans to preserve their culture by mixing their DNA with Terran genetics. It seemed like mercy at first. The aliens lived on as part of humanity. The second absorption was different. The Terrans found a species with useful technology and decided they needed those abilities to survive in a dangerous galaxy. They absorbed the aliens not to save them, but to steal their knowledge. After that, it became easier each time. The Terrans told themselves they were preserving alien cultures, but really they were feeding an addiction to power. Each absorption made them stronger, which made them want more strength. Jake saw the final days of the original collective. They had become something that consumed entire star systems, turning every living thing into part of themselves. The galaxy had become empty except for the ever-growing Terran mass. The memory ended, and Jake found himself back in the chamber with his crew. All of them had tears in their eyes. "Now you understand," said a voice behind them. They turned to see a figure that looked human but felt different. Older, sadder. This was one of the true Terrans, somehow preserved in the ruins for millions of years. "You're still alive?" Lisa asked. "Not alive," the figure said. "I am an echo, left behind to help those who came seeking the catalyst. I am the last reminder of what we chose to become." Jake stepped forward. "The catalyst, where is it?" "Here," the true Terran said, holding up a small crystal that glowed with soft light. "But before you take it, you must understand what it will do. It will break the awakening cycle," Amy said. "Yes, but at a cost." The catalyst works by broadcasting a signal that reaches every human mind simultaneously. For 72 hours, every person with Terran DNA will feel the same choice that we felt millions of years ago. Peter looked confused. What choice? The true Terran's expression grew infinitely sad. The choice between remaining human and becoming gods. But unlike us, your entire species will choose together. Whatever the majority decides, that is what all humans will become. Jake felt his heart racing. You mean if 51% choose to awaken, then everyone awakens? Even the ones who wanted to stay human? Yes, and if 51% choose to break the cycle, then the awakening ends for everyone, including those who wanted to embrace their power. Lisa understood the horrible truth. It's not really a choice at all. It's a species-wide vote where the losers are forced to accept what the winners decide. This is how democracy works, the true Terran said. Even when the decision affects the fundamental nature of what you are. Jake took the catalyst, feeling its weight in his hands. What did your people choose? We chose power. We chose to become the Terran Collective. And within 1,000 years, we had consumed every living thing in our home galaxy except ourselves. Amy's communication system beeped. Captain, I'm receiving an urgent message from Admiral Williams. The message was short and desperate. Jake, the alien fleets have started their attack. They're targeting Earth and the major colonies. You have 12 hours to get back here with the catalyst, or there won't be a human civilization left to save. Jake looked at his crew. Can we make it back in 12 hours? Not through normal space, Peter said. But I've been studying the collective technology in these ruins. There might be another way. He led them to a chamber filled with devices that hummed with power. The Terrans built instant transportation networks across the galaxy. If any of these still work, we could be back at Earth in minutes. Lisa scanned the devices with her equipment. The power levels are incredible. This technology is thousands of years ahead of anything we have. Can you activate it? Jake asked. I think so, Peter said. But using collective technology might trigger more awakening episodes in our crew. Jake felt the ancient memories stirring again in his mind. Part of him wanted to activate the awakening right now. Why should humanity be weak when they could be powerful? Why should they hide when they could rule? But then he thought about the warnings left by 17 extinct civilizations. He thought about the fear in Zexhai's eyes. He thought about the children who would grow up in a galaxy where humanity consumed everything in its path. Do it, Jake said. The transportation device activated, and reality bent around them. For a moment, Jake experienced what it felt like to have godlike power. He could sense every human mind in the galaxy, all 15 billion of them, waiting for the choice that would define their species forever. Then they were back at Earth, arriving. Just as alien energy beams began striking the planet's outer defenses, Jake ran to Admiral Williams with the catalyst. How do we activate it? Dr. Rodriguez has been preparing for this, Williams said. But Jake, you need to know something. We've been monitoring human communications across the galaxy. The vote is going to be close. How close? 49% want to break the cycle. 51% want to complete the awakening. Jake felt his heart sink. So we lose? Not necessarily, Dr. Rodriguez said as she connected the catalyst to Earth's planetary communication grid. The vote doesn't happen until I activate this device. Once I do, every human will experience the same memories you saw in those ruins. They'll see what the Terran Collective really became. And then they'll choose? Then they'll choose, she confirmed. But Jake, once this process starts, it can't be stopped. Whatever humanity decides in the next 72 hours will be permanent. Above them, alien ships filled the sky. Energy beams struck Earth's shields as the galaxy's other species, tried to prevent humanity from making any choice at all. Dr. Rodriguez placed her hand on the activation control. Ready? Jake thought about everything they had learned. About the dead civilizations and their warnings. About the cycle of awakening and absorption. About the choice between power and peace. Do it, he said. The catalyst activated, and its signal spread across the galaxy at the speed of thought. On Earth, on distant colonies, on ships traveling between stars, every human mind suddenly experienced the full history of the Terran Collective. They saw the beauty of the early explorations and the horror of the final conquests. They felt the intoxicating rush of absorption and the empty loneliness that came after consuming everything else. For 72 hours, 15 billion humans shared the same nightmare. They understood exactly what they could become and exactly what it would cost. When the time ended and the votes were counted, humanity had made its choice. 52% chose to break the cycle.